Oh, good, Christina. Great. Okay, I know, and Carol, I see a bunch of people coming on. I think we might have a few new people, so I'm just going to very quickly do my little overview and introduce myself to those who don't know me. I'm Marie McNamara, and I'm the program manager here at Aurora.
Well, good morning or afternoon, or if you're in California, very early morning. Shout out to Carly and Carlene who are joining us. I am thrilled to have you all here today. I hope that as many as of you as can will join us for the in-person event on the 29th. Part of this, the Women's Giving Circle magic is the community that it brings together, and we're so excited for you all to get to know each other. I'm taking advantage of all of our new members to let them know more about what Aurora does. So you've heard me talk about our college success grant making and the work that we do with that. And then last time I talked about our research and data efforts. And today I'm just going to share a little bit about how we work to bring the community together and to really highlight the needs of women and girls and create solutions. So if any of you are involved in a fabulous nonprofit, we certainly invite you to join us for our coffee and convenings. We're actually having one tomorrow at 10 a.m. These are led by the fabulous Marie McNamara. No one can get enough of Marie, but we kind of create a space where organizations that are serving women and girls can come together, can network with each other, can share with us problems that they're having, issues that they need, and becomes this kind of amazing exchange where we've had people kind of connect and share resources, as well as just really a chance to get to know each other. And this work can be hard and lonely, and so we really are thrilled to make spaces available where everyone can come together. And if you want to join us, just shoot Marie a quick email or even a message in the chat. So the other program that we're extremely proud of, we partner with Connecticut Capital Community College and the YWCA Hartford region to produce our Women's Leadership Forum. We bring together students from Capital, but also students from all of our other college success programs that you heard about for an incredible half-day conference where we bring panels of amazing women of color leaders to tell their journeys from where they started to the successful place that they are now, and to offer their advice for the women students. Then we have a panel of students who are able to really share the resources that they've taken advantage of, kind of also share their journeys and advice for the other women students. And then we invite Aurora's donors, supporters, volunteers to join us, and we have a facilitated networking lunch so that you can connect with students. Mentorship happens. It's a really incredible event, and we're very excited. We're going to be expanding it this year and having breakout sessions. So if that's something that you think you'd like to attend or be involved with, we would love to have you. And it will be November 21st this year. So as when I was explaining the kind of big picture strategy for women's funds, it's all about bringing resources to women and girls. And so Aurora was very excited to announce at our annual meeting our new Young Women's Initiative that we will be bringing. We'll have a partnership with the YWCA of New Britain and their House of Teens. The Young Women's Initiative, I've been working for several years to get us to be part of the National Philanthropic Collaborative of Young Women's Initiatives. So we're joining 15 other women's funds around the country who are producing amazing programming for young women, for teens and high school age, leadership development, college and career planning, really thinking about how to be a community advocate. And the very exciting piece of this is that there's also a grant making component. So the young women, we are giving them $20,000 that they will get to identify a community need and do grant making around that need, just like you all are doing with the Giving Circle. We can't wait to watch them lead. We can't wait to give them the opportunity to really change their communities, to really have big impact. So we're so thrilled about this opportunity. And what's even better is that as part of the collaborative, we're actually bringing new national funding dollars to Connecticut for this program, some of which comes from, as many people have been texting me, Melinda Gates, and her Pivotal Ventures is one of the funders of this initiative. So we're very excited for, her new foundation and her $12.5 billion. But Aurora has been working hard to make sure that Connecticut is on the map for big national funders. The Ford Foundation was another one of the funders of this project. So that's part of what Aurora does is institute innovative new projects like this one, and also work to shift more resources to women and girls in Connecticut. All right, so that's my quick update. Oh, so we're partnering with the House of Teens. They are amazing. It is a terrific existing program. So we're so happy to be partnering with them. So we'll be sure and keep you updated as this gets started in the fall. Oh, and here's all the ways you can get involved. It's also on my slides. If you have a business that would like to be a corporate community partner, please reach out. That will be to Michelle Murphy, our development manager. We still are planning our Luminary event for the fall. So if you're interested in being on the event committee, we'd love to have you. We're getting ready for our 100 Men event on June 15th. So we also would welcome any help with that. And if you would like to invite your friends to join you for the Luminary event on October 23rd, you can be a Luminary host and bring a whole bunch of folks to join us. Janet Stolfi Alfano, the Chief Executive Officer of the Diaper Bank of Connecticut. Janet started at the Diaper Bank in 2007 as the operations manager and has been leading the organization since 2011. Janet was appointed to the Governor's Council on Women and Girls in 2019, serving on the Health and Safety Subcommittee. She serves as a steering committee member for the Connecticut Early Childhood Alliance, is a member of the Endometriosis Working Group, and sits on the Medical Assistance Program Oversight Council, Women and Children's Health Committee. She served as a member of the guide team for the New Haven Moms Partnership and as the board chair of the Connecticut Alliance for Basic Human Needs. Thanks so much for being with us here today, Janet.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all today and to just thank you for your work on behalf of women and girls across the state of Connecticut. It's really wonderful to be with you all on this lunchtime. So as far as I had some slides, we can maybe get right in and talk just a little bit about the work of the Diaper Bank of Connecticut. As you said in the intro, I started at the Diaper Bank in 2007, and we actually were formed in 2004. So I came on pretty early on in the beginning of the organization. I guess to the next slide. So we're hitting our 20th year. This year is our 20th year, and we've been working since we were formed to ensure that families have access to basic needs. Specifically, we're most known for diapers for infants and toddlers, and we were formed around that lack of access to that basic need. But what that means is, helping families have enough diapers for their infants and toddlers, ensuring that folks have period supplies, and that youth and adults in need can access incontinence products. Really these basic health needs across the lifespan, and that no one should have to worry about affording these items that are really critical to bodily autonomy and functioning and participating fully in society. Now, the next slide, please. Our mission is threefold. it's not only thinking about distribution and access to these items, but it's also about education and raising awareness that this problem exists and that this is what it means when people can't afford basic needs. This is what it actually looks like. And then the third pillar, and really these are all equally critical, although I have a personal bias toward the advocacy piece, but to advocate for policies that ensure that these items are more readily available and accessible to families across the state, and that folks really consider them as essential as they are. Next slide, please. So for the distribution piece of our work, this is a little pictorial on how we work. We purchase, the first picture, we purchase diapers and other products in bulk. And then we put orders together to distribute through community-based organizations that can range from, like in the picture on the bottom right, child care centers, but there are very intentionally a wide range of the types of programs through which we distribute. Home-based visiting programs, hospitals, health-related programs, shelter-based programs, really a number of different types of organizations through which we distribute our products and services. Next slide, please. This is just a visual representation. So we do have partners in every county, and we are, I believe we're at around 100, over 160 partners through our past fiscal year that we distributed items through across the state of Connecticut. Next slide, please. Oh yeah, 163. And so we served over 10,000 non-duplicated, and that could be infants and toddlers, folks who need period supplies, and older adults or youth with incontinence needs. Last year, we hit 6.4 million diapers, and then obviously that is, we have many more folks that we're serving with the diapers, but we also do a significant amount of period and incontinence supplies. When we look at the distribution side, those numbers seem very large, and they are, but when you compare that to the need that exists in the state of Connecticut, if we look at, we're serving 0 through age 3, depending on when folks potty train. When we look at the data for Connecticut, if we look at the total number of babies under age 4 covered by Medicaid, it's upwards of 100,000 children. So that many folks, just infants and toddlers, could use our services within our own state. So we know while we're doing a lot of work, we're scratching the surface of need that exists in our state. And if we think about families who are eligible for Medicaid, it's around 200% of the federal poverty level. So for a family of 4, that would be making less than or equal to $62,400 annually. What we have learned over the past year is that prior to COVID, we knew that about 1 in 3 families experience diaper need, so right around 33%. It actually is worse now than it was before COVID. Almost 1 in 2 families experience diaper need. And, there could be many reasons for that, but what we know from anecdotally and from some of our data is that the families who would normally apply for our services or need our services are the ones who were impacted most significantly from the economic hardship of COVID, and that they have not recovered as of yet, and that the economy is not working for them as it is for some other folks. And when I realized that I did not, apologies for not correcting the caption under the slide, under the picture, but it is almost 1 in 2, not 1 in 3. So it actually got worse for families. Next slide, please. The impact that not having access to diapers can have, it impacts the health of the baby for, some obvious reasons, which could be something like diaper rash or a UTI. Babies can get UTIs if they don't have an adequate supply. But what we also know is that it can impact the health and well-being of a mom. There was a study done that was published in the Journal of Pediatrics in 2013 showing a high correlation between diaper need and maternal stress and depression. And while we understood that it was a significant stressor, we didn't understand the extent of it. And it was actually the highest correlated stressor, higher than food insecurity, housing insecurity, community violence. And we really learned something from that. And if we think about that, and you think about the duration of this problem and the frequency with which someone who is experiencing diaper need has to be faced with that every few hours for the first 3 years of your child's life, when you are trying to focus on being a good parent. Imagine being faced with this stressor ongoing and not being able to meet that very basic need that can have such an impact on the health and well-being of your child. Oh, I think there's a text here. Hold on, let's just see. Okay. In terms of menstrual equity, we know that 1 in 5 low-income women reports missing work or school. You know, there are correlations between what happens when folks don't have access to basic needs like diapers and like period supplies. And the question in the chat is, can we provide data such as what counties in Connecticut are struggling the most? Certainly every county in Connecticut experiences issues with folks who don't have access to the things that they need. And that data really mirrors much of the economic data around where there are sections and concentrations of poverty throughout the state of Connecticut. But I can certainly get you more information on that, but that's a great question. Again, folks who don't have a supply don't access school as regularly. And that's just looking at, the 1 in 4 teens. So in Connecticut, 1 in 4 teens had missed school because they didn't have adequate supply. Next slide, please. We know that having an adequate supply helps folks stay in school, and access helps folks stay in work or attend work, that these items are not luxuries. They are in fact necessities, and they are things that should be readily available when and where you need and use them. Next slide, please. I'll touch on this briefly, and I just want to make sure, I'm not sure how I'm doing on time, but a newer area for us is senior incontinence or incontinence products for adults and youth. And we know that, and we're learning more every day about how this issue impacts Connecticut residents, and how, again, so many folks are living on really incomes that don't necessarily allow them to meet their basic needs, and they don't necessarily qualify for additional assistance, but that these items, these incontinence products, are expensive, and not having them could cause someone to be not engaged in social activities, which is really critical to their physical and mental health. Next slide, please. We know that this is, somewhat of a common occurrence overall, and that there can be many reasons, medical reasons, that cause someone to be in need of incontinence products, but then there can be compounding emotional issues attached to having to use an incontinence product, or it's not something that we had talked about in the past, although you are seeing a little bit more in terms of public discussion around this, in terms of advertising and people talking about it a little bit more, but certainly we have quite a way to go. And there's another question: have we reached out to menstrual product makers to ask why the hike price in these necessities? I think, like many necessities, there have been a hike in prices. And one thing that we are hearing, because we are buying items in bulk, but even we are seeing some of those increases, a lot of it has to do with some of the raw materials, but also the transportation to get things to places. The transportation costs impact the cost of the products themselves. And so we also have been seeing that as well. Okay, in terms of partnership, we are able to put any generous support to good use because we are purchasing items in bulk. What that means for us is that we can get more items for the dollar than, say, the average person going to a Target or a big box store or one of those kinds of retail establishments, is that we're buying by the truckload. And so we can make good use of really economies of scale. And then the next, volunteerism. We have a lot of opportunities for volunteerism. We do things like diaper drives and public events, but we also have events that are, you could probably see a little bit behind me, our volunteer center, where we do counting, sorting, repacking of items that are donated to us through drives or individuals, civic groups or organizations. And we have some that if you were to call us and request a very specific time, say during the week or another time that was convenient for your group, we could set something up. And we also offer some open public volunteer days in our upcoming ones. We actually have one this Saturday from 10 to 12 or 1. And then on June 15th as well, our next 2 open volunteer opportunities. And we are in the process of establishing our schedule for our upcoming fiscal year, which starts on July 1. So definitely stay tuned for that. But we can accommodate, a special request for a day or time as needed for a group. If you're interested in either a civic group or a corporate group, we have a lot of corporate groups come to volunteer here as really employee engagement opportunity. So those are really, really fun. We have a lot of good groups here. And I think, yeah, okay, that's it. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions or, oh, I think I see another.
Well, yeah, and so Janet, maybe if you can just address specifically what the Women's Giving Circle funds would go to, and then we'll have time for more questions at the end too.
Okay, great. Okay. All right. Sorry, I had a little bit of a connection thing there. So yeah, so in terms of the work of the circle, Women's Giving Circle, we also do a lot of advocacy work, and I didn't even touch upon that in the presentation, so apologies for that. We have been working to expand Medicaid so that it covers diapers for infants and toddlers. In the most recent legislative session, we got a study, which is a step in the right direction in terms of advocacy work, because what folks don't understand is that Medicaid covers incontinence products for youth incontinence products as well as older adults, but not infants and toddlers under age 3. And so we have been working toward advocating for that to be included. And it's a dual process, which means that it's at the state level and the federal level in terms of the advocacy. So we start with the state. They help us put a plan together to try and engage the federal government in covering that as a funded item. So that's advocacy work that we've been doing most recently. And so we did get a study. It's not every diaper is covered under Medicaid, but rather it's a step in that direction, which is truly exciting. Oh, I see another. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, so Janet, we'll come back to those other questions at the end. But so the funding from the Women's Giving Circle would go towards diapers and period supplies?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, yes.
Okay.
As I was talking about earlier, diapers for infants and toddlers and period supplies. This will really help us bridge a gap because as folks know, there was a lot of funds given during COVID and much of that funding is ending. And so this will help us support the purchase of diapers and period supplies for the greater Hartford region.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Sorry about that.
No,
I
that's
got
okay.
excited by folks asking all these engaged questions around how this impacts families across the state, but thank you. And we have, yes, collaborated with Dignity Grows, giving out some of their bags to families as well.
Terrific. All right. So we're thrilled to hear from the Diaper Bank, and now we're going to hear from Mutual Aid of Hartford, and specifically their Black Mamas Giving Circle. We are thrilled to welcome Gabby Barnes, who is the current director of Mutual Aid Hartford and a founding member and worker owner of the People Saturday School Cooperative. In 2022, Gabby founded Free Heart Closet, a free art supply store that makes high-quality art supplies and workshops available to everyone. In 2024, she was named one of the Connecticut Office of the Arts Connecticut Arts Heroes and selected as one of 6 organizers in Shareable's Solidarity Works Library of Things Fellowship. We're also pleased to welcome Andriana Dree Milner who is the program coordinator at Mutual Aid Hartford. She is a passionate advocate dedicated to empowering her community, drawing from her experiences growing up with a Black single mother. Raised in a household where resilience and determination were daily lessons, she carries forward her mother's legacy by supporting Black mamas through her work at Mutual Aid Hartford, and also spearheads Love Diaries, a storytelling platform for people of color that doubles as a fundraiser for the Black Mamas Giving Circle. Thanks so much to both of you for being here.
Thank you so much for having us. I am having every technical difficulty that you can imagine today, so I am going to leave my camera off and you can look at the lovely photo that was taken by the Office of the Arts. And yeah, I'm on my phone, so just not an ideal setup for me, but I'm so excited to talk to you all about Black Mamas Giving Circle and Mutual Aid Hartford. This program is the most near and dear to our organization, so sharing it with you all today is very exciting despite all these tech difficulties. Next slide, Dree. Okay, so we're just going to talk about a couple of things. I'll talk to you a little bit about Mutual Aid Hartford, kind of how we came to be, what we're doing right now, what we hope to be doing in the future, and then I'll kick it over to Dree and she'll let you all know about the Black Mamas Giving Circle and what we're hoping to do with your generous support. Next slide, Dree.
Yeah, so hey y'all, my name is Andriana. You can call me Dree for short. Thank you, Jennifer, for that introduction. But yeah, I'm an advocate, a scribe, and a connector is kind of what brings me here to Mutual Aid Hartford.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's important that that we share that everyone on our team is working full-time somewhere else. We all do this as a volunteer collective. So yeah, I am a career librarian. I've been working in libraries for the last 17 years. In addition to that, I also do cultural work through the Free Heart Closet and the People Saturday School, where we do facilitation for organizations around organizational development. So we are busy in the best way. Next slide, Dree. All right, so about Mutual Aid Hartford. Want to go to the next slide for me? Our organization was really born in a moment of severe crisis, right? The COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown wreaked havoc on all of our lives, and especially for our most marginalized members of our community. And so Mutual Aid sort of took a specific and purposeful position to sort of try to help folks identify their needs, connect with folks who could help meet their needs. We also decided that we wanted to center specifically caregivers and working class families in Hartford in the work that we were doing. The main reason for that is the founding members of Mutual Aid Hartford are themselves Hartford residents. They are mothers. And so this is really a multiracial collective that is dedicated to working with folks who are just like us, right? The founding members were folks who had experienced extreme poverty, who had experienced domestic violence, folks who were actively organizing to, fight uh, fight for their rights. And so, yeah, it's really important that we center their identities in the work that we're doing. Next slide, Dree. So, what happened during the COVID-19 crisis? Mutual aid set up multiple system-wide food distribution systems. We mobilized so many volunteers who were running to grocery stores, picking up groceries, packing orders, and then making home deliveries to people. And we just had an outpouring of support from folks who wanted to help. And so we were actually able to raise and redistribute $80,000 over the course of the entire year that we were doing the food redistribution. Then after we slowed down on the food redistribution, we realized that we were burnt out and we needed to support ourselves. And so we developed a peer-to-peer social support network in collaboration with Smith College School of Social Work and the Connecticut Black and Brown Student Union. And so this was a professionally staffed and confidential line that was available to everyone who was on the ground mobilizing for Mutual Aid Hartford, regardless of their role, to seek personal support and wellness. Then in 2022 and 2023, we decided to make some changes to our work, and a couple founding members split off and went into the housing and tenant organizing sphere, and we decided to sunset the social support network, and decided to try our hand at incubating Black women-led projects. And so we wanted to continue to meet our community's needs with the food distribution, but we also wanted to see what happens when we put support into Black women who have, brilliant ideas in the community. And so we partnered with New Being Doula to launch the Black Mamas Giving Circle. We partnered with Lauren Little to increase our food program to include farming education and food distributions at the schools to the students through their backpacks. And then Free Heart Closet, my program, where we launched the free art supply trading post, where anyone, whether they consider themselves an artist or not, can come in and access to art supplies that we have, and they don't have to exchange money. And we also run pay what you can art workshops, really to address wellness, to help people de-stress during the work week. And we find that the majority of people who take our workshops are actually moms who are carving out some care time for themselves, a little bit of me time. It wasn't actually the intention for that to be our audience, but we are certainly cultivating that, which is cool. All right, next slide. All right, so what we're doing now, and what we hope to be up to in the future. So our organization, the ethos of our organization is that we are adaptable and we are flexible. So we are constantly kind of keeping our ear to the ground of what are the actual needs of the community and what is the work that we need to do in order to address those needs. And so while the COVID-19 crisis demanded that we focus on, emergency care, our our vision had always been to create something more sustainable, that was focused on, caring for each other and working with each other in cooperation. Um, so yeah, after 2023, we worked with some facilitators to do like a working weekend, essentially, where we decided to formalize our leadership structure, and design a plan for the succession of our leadership and how we would be developing members to step into leadership positions. And through that, we launched our governance team, which is the small body of folks who are volunteering their time to drive our work forward. Next slide, Tree. And so what our work is involved, what we're involved in now, what we're up to now, we have identified that there is a need for folks to kind of learn how to be in community with each other and how to how to turn care essentially into a personal ethos, right? Like caring for my community is a core value. So we've launched 2 training and learning opportunities, the Imaginal Cell, which is a 12-month cohort and learning space for folks to learn about mutual aid, the political history of mutual aid, and then to incubate their own hyperlocal mutual aid networks with support from our organization. And then the other sphere is a much larger gathering called Don't Forget to Dream, which is a multi-day practice and learning space where we bring artists and organizers together to both practice care and to also engage in movement education. So that's our training and learning side. And then on our care and support side, again, moms and caregivers and working families are very important to us. They are the backbone of our organization. And so care and support for those folks is always front and center for us. So the Black Mamas Giving Circle has been one of our sort of founding programs, and it's here to stay, which is a support group for new and expecting moms, which Dree will talk about. And then we have people's clinics. So these are care clinics that are designed to collectively experience or collectively meet our emotional needs with each other around a specific theme. So the upcoming clinics will be a rage clinic, a grief clinic, a somatics clinic, and a power clinic. And next slide, Tree. We're really doing all of this work because we do believe that it's possible and it's actually imperative that we all become more human beings, to quote Grace Lee Boggs. The idea being that when we take care of and transform ourselves, we have the power to transform our world. That is the work of Mutual Aid Hartford. You want to talk about our lovely program, Dree?
Yes,
Awesome.
I can. Yeah, thank you, Gabby. So excited to talk about Black Mamas Giving Circle. So like Gabby said, Black Mamas Giving Circle is a support group for Black mothers and caregivers, really focusing on education, holistic care, and birth rights. This is a collaborative group that we do here in the Creative Campus in Hartford with New Being Doula. Kind of the foundation, the formation of Black Mamas Giving Circle was to provide financial support. But as us providing direct financial support through grassroots community donations, we've noticed that mothers need more than just financial support. And that's something that we found out in our meetings, right, of them doing yoga with the babies here in this photo. which led us to ask, what additionally can we do to support mothers, not only building up themselves in new motherhood, but also with each other? How can we build community with mothers that can be done without a container of Mutual Aid Hartford? How can we start the basis for them to continue to grow? So we host the monthly mommy meetups that focus on healing, wellness, and connection. With our facilitators, we talk about a numerous amount of subjects, from nutrition to yoga and meditation to CPR to core strength to fitness, really wanting to drive overall wellness when we talk to our moms. Sorry, I'm just not trying to speed through this, but also want to be mindful of time. With Aurora support, we can hire guest speakers and holistic care workers just to continue the needs for our mothers. As you saw in that yoga picture of the babies around when the moms are doing yoga, we want to provide childcare. We want to have at least 2 childcare providers there during our monthly meetings, just so the moms can continue to care for themselves as someone is caring for their children not too far away from them, as well as have a traditional annual event called Mommy and Me Picnic, just continuing to build community with mothers, new mothers, multiple moms, those individuals that identify themselves as caregivers. And yeah, I guess that's it. I hope I didn't go too fast through that last portion of the slides.
Thank you, Dree. Yeah, I just want to cap by saying what we learned is that gathering people is the best way to find out what they need and then help meet those needs. And we find that it's not really our position as our organization, or we don't want our organization to be the point at which the needs are being met. We want to be the connector between folks helping each other meet their needs, because that's what true mutual aid is all about. And so that's why we focus heavily on gathering. And then when we gather, we focus heavily on wellness.
There were a few questions in the chat about approximately how many participants are there. So we tend to have in a group meeting around 20 moms in a group. Over the past year, that number has fluctuated from 10 to 20 to 15 to 8, but usually between 10 to 20. And then where physically do we meet? Here at the Creative Campus, this is 12 Charter Oak Place. And how do women learn about us in our group? So there's kind of 2 ways, entry points. They can connect with us directly here at Mutual Aid Hartford, or through their doulas, specifically through what as a business has multiple moms that she also consults with multiple doulas that bring their mothers in to join the group as well. Hope I answered all the questions in the chat.
I think so. Dree, can you say a little bit more about the holistic practitioners that will be presenting to the group, and what kinds of information are they? I mean, a lot of the health and wellness information that you're talking about, but also the partnership with the doulas and how that's helpful.
Yeah, so it's helpful because we know that moms don't get rest, right? Being a mother is hard work. Though I am not a mom, I do praise all mothers in the space and in the room. So through holistic care, we're able to do different activities that surround their rest. So looking at sound baths, again, yoga, whether we bring in readers and we just casually read, or whether we just take a group nap, whatever the moms kind of need, we kind of plan ahead of time of, hey, what are some things that you want to learn about us, so we can have a schedule of facilitators come in. So whether a mom was like, hey, I want to learn how to cook and do these things. Okay, let's bring you to the Swift Factory and do something else. part of my job here as the connector, I want to ensure that whatever the moms kind of need, whether that's something that Mutual Aid Hartford can support directly, that we connect with other partners within Hartford to provide those resources for them.
I am looking for, sorry, I'm just looking for Janet to, oh, here's, I'm gonna add a spotlight to Janet. So, do folks have any other questions for our group? I see, Janet, that someone has written in the chat. Can you talk about the lack of diapers and how that impacts access to daycare?
Sure. So thank you for that question. What folks don't realize sometimes is that childcare centers, whether they're family-based childcare or center-based or whatever the childcare facility or arrangement is, you have to bring a supply of diapers to be able to attend. In that, in an economic analysis done in 2018 by the Yukon Center for Economic Analysis, what they studied was, in fact, how many were parents missing work because they couldn't bring their child to childcare because they didn't have diapers. And in fact, that was the case. And families were missing between 4 and 5 days a month in the study. And that would translate to around $6,000 a year for a minimum wage worker. And that $6,000 is such a significant amount of money that something so simple could have such a significant economic impact on a family. So yeah, it truly is a thing that impacts families. Also, it impacts small businesses. If you think about where the majority of care is, especially for those youngest babies, it's family childcare. And what that family, if their family has some subsidized spaces that's helping to pay for the care for the folks in her care, in his or her care, what that could mean is that either they supply the diapers for this family, taking away from their own bottom line as a business owner in a small business, or lose that subsidized slot. So it really puts so many people who are critical to the infrastructure of caring for young families and having folks enter the workforce into such peril because they don't have this very simple basic necessity.
Dree, I'm going to ask you, could you talk a little bit about, kind of what you've seen, as you're creating this community of moms, how have you kind of seen it impact them, or what have they said about the impact that being part of that community has?
Yeah. So the community of moms that we have, is a beautiful group to see. Now, if a mom is going to give birth, starting like food trains so that the mom always has food around. I think now they're in a space where they self-govern themselves. It's like, hey, I need someone to like mop my floors as I'm like breastfeeding for like 2 hours. And they're able to communicate that, right? Through a Facebook group, through WhatsApp. So we have communication for them to continue on conversations. So that way it's not like, oh, let me go through Dree to talk to Helene about what's going on. So they're building community within themselves. So that's been great to see and to witness. Not only that, the kids get to grow up together, right? Now having conversations around schooling and homeschooling and what that looks like. So providing more resources toward that. So that way they know someone who can provide like a curriculum if you wanted to try it. So yeah, I hope, it's been a beautiful process seeing moms, one, get out of their shells, and be able to ask another group of moms like, hey, like I need help. I am also struggling. How can we support one another through this so we're not as alone?
And just one more follow-up question. So, we're focusing on reproductive equity and having access to care and information and advocacy. And so how do you see Black Mama's Giving Circle kind of building reproductive equity in Hartford?
Drew, I can take that. So, the doula who runs the program is involved in the doula advocacy work that's happening at the state level, trying to advocate for doula care to be legitimized and to be offered for as an insurance option. So her and the doulas that she is in partnership with, who kind of sometimes refer folks into our program. They don't do a lot of pushing of it, but do kind of talk about it as it comes up with moms. You know, we want to be cognizant that we aren't sort of taking over what's meant to be a wellness space to sort of drive our own agendas. So the moms aren't specifically brought into that advocacy work unless they want to be, unless, you know, they step up and say, you know, like, tell me more, how do I get involved?
And Sivan has a question, and Sivan, congratulations. We're very excited to hear that you're the new CEO of Hartford Promise. Congratulations.
Thank you. I just, two things. One, I wanted to say there is so much power in knowledge in community. And so when you talk about reproductive equity, and we had a first session on maternal mortality and the crisis in Black maternal mortality. And so the power in women being together and learning and understanding and just sharing their own stories and the knowledge they can pass on then to others that will affect people's sisters, cousins, children, etc., is hugely important when you talk about reproductive equity. The other thing I just want to say is I love the fact that we tend to think of giving circles as a financial giving, and there is so much more to giving in what we can share of ourselves and our personal treasures and all of the ways that this is doing it. So I just love the name. So just wanted to tell you that. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you know, the idea did originally start as sort of like an equitable susu, and then, you know, obviously we learned, you know, that folks really want to gather, and like you said, when you put women in a room together, magic really happens. So thank you for that affirmation.
Do we have any other questions for our fabulous guests today?
I think I just put in the chat. I don't know if it comes up as Aurora or not, but it is a reminder to all of the nonprofits that are on here. And I know some of you already are registered, but I am hosting this coffee and convening tomorrow at 10. And it's just that. It is every single time people say what their needs are, they explain what they're doing, and everyone kind of works together to partner outside of financially, like, oh, I have transportation, or I have office space that may help you, or it's just a beautiful organic kind of way to get together. So please let me know if you're interested, and I will send you the Zoom link for that. And I think there aren't any more questions.
And I just,
Chloe.
Oh, good. Oh, sorry. Hi, Chloe.
Yeah, I know I've been hogging the chat over there, but I just wanted to say vocally, thank you so much to these amazing women for your work. I'm on the verge of tears. I really appreciate everything you're doing. And I hope that you're getting, as I just mentioned to Gabby, I hope you're all getting a lot of support, because sustainability is key. And I really appreciate your choking me up. Keep going.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, we're so impressed and so inspired by all of your work and thoughtfulness. So thank you all so much. And so just another reminder, if you are joining us, to let me know on May 29th, we are ordering lunch. And oh, thank you, Christina. Nice to just see everybody. And we would love to have you. It's at the JCC at 11:30. And the recording of this will be going out. And I would love to see you all at the luncheon in person. It's always a great time. So thank you all so much. Have a great afternoon. And Carleen, safe travels. Have fun.
Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.